LG dryer repair in Manhattan, New York City. This customer called and her complaint was the LG dryer was not drying. So we had to differentiate between is it not drying or not heating because these are two separate issues. You have to figure out which one through your questioning and through your diagnostic. Anyway, this unit was not heating. This is a gas LG dryer, vented. How you can tell it's gas is the model number. If you can't actually see behind it, the model number will have a G at the end, DLG. The electric models say DLE. So what happened in this case was the lint trap became clogged up and dirty. The venting itself wasn't clogged. The lint trap can cause the thermostat to trip by itself. It doesn't just have to be the external venting system. It could be either or. Okay, here's the fun part. So this LG gas dryer, we determined that the thermostat was tripped and that is why it is not heating. So we can correctly make that accurate assessment, we have to open this unit up and actually check. Now the fun part is the LG dryer is stacked on top of a washer in a tight corner, and these are two very, very heavy units, and there's actually like a lip. So to get these units over it can require two men, especially if you're not experienced. In this matter, what we did was we bring both units forward very, very carefully. And this requires some patience because during the process, you do not want to cause any damages, scratches to the floor, to the wall, etc. Because if you do, depending on the customer, they can require you to be liable, which means, you have to show your insurance. That's if you have insurance, and all the extra liabilities that can happen when pulling these two units forward. Now, if you require a second man to have the dryer unstacked, some companies won't even do that because it's a gas dryer. And if the gas line's not long enough to come out, technically speaking, you're not allowed to remove the gas line in New York City unless you're a licensed plumber with a Con Edison certification. So in this situation, you're going to need a lot of discernment and experience. But with us, we were able to get it out the closet. Just one guy. That one guy is me. I'll show you in the next photos how I was able to get it out, the actual closet, carefully. I've done this so many times that I'm confident in doing it. But once again, you have to pay attention how you pull these units forward. You can't just pull them forward without understanding the length of the venting system and the gas dryer line. You also have to take into account the water line and the drain hose for the washing machine too. Anyways, here's the clogged lint trap that caused the thermostat to trip and stop sending power to the elements that help fire it up. And this is a tool all appliance repair technicians should have mandatory. It literally weighs nothing and it saves you a lot of time. It's super effective. This is called the air shimmy. And these things work magic. And once you have one, you'll never not want to have this on your person, in your book bag, or wherever you carry your tools. This will lift up the units above edges, or it'll help give you flexibility. It's rated at 500 pounds. And you could have a few of them if you want, because they literally weigh nothing. These are very good to move all these appliances, to give you that flexibility and make your job just so much more easier and efficient. These air shimmies also don't take up any space at all. And this is where I used it to get it over the front ledge. This is behind the dryer. So the dryer is still stacked on top of the washer, but I edged it forward. I kept edging it forward, but paying attention to the lines. So this is the crack that you see that was created after I pulled out both units, so you can see behind it. There goes the gas line and the vent. This is behind the LG washer and dryer, the actual floor where it was sitting on top of. So I succeeded in pulling both units out. The reason why I pulled both units out is because I had to disassemble the actual dryer. We all know that you have to remove the top panel. And removing the top panel requires removing the two screws behind the top panel. Then, working your way from there, removing the front cover, the screws, and the whole front. Also, be sure to have the power disconnected. Even if you're a super top master tech, you just don't want to, in this situation, have any power run into this, because you already know how that goes. Any little movements, you could cut a wire and that could short something else, or you could get electrocuted. Just remove that liability, have the power cut off. After removing the front of the LG dryer, as you can see where I'm pointing my finger, that's the thermostat, the resettable thermostat that has a little button on it. You see that red wire and the gray wire? Just put your finger in between it, press down, you'll hear a little click. Once you hear that click, you know you reset it. Now you're gonna test the unit and see if there's any further issues that's causing it not to heat. Most likely it's just that one. And obviously you have to figure out why it tripped, which we already figured that out. And after you determine that, you do multiple other testing just to make sure you don't have any recalls and customers blame you for extra things. And you know how that goes already. And you have to come under the warranty just because they think their whole unit is warranted. You just want to save yourself the headache and fully test the unit to your best abilities. And if you see anything additional, you can let them know at the same time. Anyway, that was it for this LG gas dryer. The hardest part of this was actually removing everything and just getting to that one little button. This was an easy $350. Some people can charge more because of the extent of the labor and everything you had to do as one man. Because technically, you could ask them to have someone else remove the dryer, especially in New York City, in these rich areas that have these high end condos. They already have their own management and building staff. So if you want to remove your liability, you can. Some companies actually do that. They just prefer the the tenant or the resident's building to handle that extra stuff, and make the unit accessible. Because remember, liability issues you want to remove. Don't always think about money, 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 because sometimes thinking about doing it the proper way will actually pay way more. Why? Because if you damage anything, because you just want to complete that repair right then and there, then you're in even more problems. Successful LG dryer repair in Manhattan, New York City. Let's get all this money. Also, always remember this. Look at the situation, not just what the appliance is worth. Because a lot of times, the situation around the appliance will create an increase in your profits. Why? Because there's many variables to consider now. It's not just a repair. And you're also saving the customer much frustration from having other servicers come in, such as the appliance installers for new appliances, and that whole situation that they just do not want to go through, because that's just a whole new situation, a whole new stress for the customers. So you can increase your profits based on that too, not just the repair itself. So there's many variables to consider when you're analyzing appliance repair. I mainly service Manhattan area, so that's the affluent customers. They have a whole different personality. They have a lifestyle that they deem more important. They don't have time for this, time for that. So if you can just narrow everything down to the end result of what they want without bringing in those additional servicers, they're going to pay for that, because you're cutting time and other variables that will create that stress for them. Just want to get it done and go. But that's up to you to be the judge of that and to have the experience on how to read the customers and the situation and how to adapt when you need to.